I'm a total Sonic the Hedgehog fan, much like everyone else. I like the newer games, but I don't mind playing the classics. I don't think I've ever played glitchy or hacked games before, though I don't think I want to play any after the experience I had. It started on a nice summer afternoon. I was playing Sonic Unleashed. I liked how you get to explore towns in it. Until I noticed, out of my peripheral vision, that the mailman had arrived and put something in my mailbox as usual and left. I paused my game to go see where I got the mail. The only thing in the mailbox is a CD case for computers and a note. I took it inside. I looked at the note first and realized it was from my dear friend Kyle, let's just call him that, whom I haven't heard from in 2 weeks. I know that because I recognized his handwriting, though what was weird is how it looked. It looked badly written and scratchy and somewhat difficult to read, as if Kyle was having a hard time writing it down and didn't hurry. This is what he wrote. Tom, I can't take it anymore. I had to get rid of this thing somehow before it's too late. I was hoping you'd do it for me. I can't do it. He's after me. And if you don't destroy a CD, he'll come after you, too. He's too fast for me. Please, Tom, destroy this godforsaken disc before he comes after you, too. It's too late for me. Destroy the disc and you'll destroy him. But do it quick, otherwise I'll catch you. Don't even play the game. It's what he wants. Just destroy it. Please, Kyle. Well, that was certainly weird. Even though Kyle is my best friend and I haven't seen him in 2 weeks, I didn't do what he asked me. I didn't think that a simple gaming disc would do anything bad to him. After all, it's a game, right? Boy, was I wrong about that. Anyway, I looked at the disc, and it looks like any ordinary computer CDR disc, except it has black marker on it written Sonic.exe. And it was much unlike Kyle's handwriting, meaning that he must have gotten it from someone else, like a pawn shop or eBay. When I saw Sonic on the right of the CD, I was actually excited. I wanted to play it, since I'm a Sonic fan. I went up to my room and turned on my computer and put the disc in and installed the game. When the title screen popped up, I noticed that was the first Sonic game. I was like, awesome! Because, like I said earlier, I like the classics. The first thing I noticed was that was out of place was when I pressed start, there was a split second where I saw the title image turn to something much different. Something that I now consider horrifying before cutting to black. I remember what the image looked like in that split second before the game cut to black. The sky had darkened, the tile screen was rusted and ruined. The Sega 1991 was now instead Sega 666, and the water had turned red, like blood, except it looked hyper-realistic. But the freakiest thing that was in that split-second frame was Sonic. His eyes were pitch black and bleeding with two glowing red dots staring right at me. And his smile had stretched wider up to the edge of his face. I was rather disturbed about that image when I saw it, though I figured that was just a glitch and forgot about it. After it got to black, it stayed like that for about 10 seconds or so. And then another weird thing happened. The save file select from Sonic the Hedgehog 3 popped out, and I was like, what the fuck? What's this doing in the first Sonic game? Anyway, then I noticed something off. The background was the dark cloudy sky of the Bad Stardust Speedway level from Sonic CD. And there were only 3 save files. The music was that creepy Caverns of Winter music from Earthbound. Only it was extended and seemed to have been in reverse. The image from the save file where you see a preview of the level you're on is just red static for all 3 files. What freaked me out more was the character select. Show only Tails, Knuckles, and to my surprise, Dr. Robotnik. Now, I was sure that something was up. I mean, how can you play as Robotnik in a classic Sonic game for crying out loud? That's when I realized that this wasn't a glitchy game. It was a hacked game. Yeah, it definitely looked hacked. It was really creepy, but as a smart gamer, I wasn't scared. At least I try not to be. I told myself that was just a hacked game, and there was nothing wrong with that. Anyways, shaking off the creeped out feeling, I picked file 1 and chose Tails. When I selected and got started, the game froze for about 5 seconds, and I heard a creepy pixelated laugh that sounded an awful lot like that Kefka laugh from Final Fantasy before cutting to black. The screen stayed black for about 10 seconds or more. Then it showed the typical level title thing, except the simplistic shapes were different shades of red. The text showed only Hill, Act 1. The screen faded in, the level title vanished, revealing Tails in the Green Hill Zone from Sonic 1. The music was different, though. It sounded like a peaceful melody in reverse. Anyway, I started playing and had Tails start running like you would in any of the classic Sonic games. What was odd was that as Tails was running along the level, there was nothing but flat ground and a few trees for 5 minutes. That was when the peaceful music started to lower down its slow, deep tones very slowly as I kept going. I suddenly saw something, and I stopped to see what it was. It was one of the small animals lying down on the ground bleeding. That's when the music started to slow down. Tails had a shocked and saddened look on his face that I never saw him have before. So I had to move along, and he kept that worried look on his face. As he kept moving, I saw more dead animals as Tails moved past him, looking more and more worried as the music lowers and he moves past more dead animals. I was shocked to see how they all died. They looked like somebody killed them in rather gruesome ways. A squirrel was hanged on a tree with what appeared to be his entrails hanging out. A bunny had all 4 of his limbs torn off, and a duck had his eyes gouged out and his throat slit. I felt sick to my stomach when I saw this massacre, and apparently so did Tails. After a few more seconds, there were no more animals. The music seemed to have stopped. I still kept Tails to continue. After a minute passed, and after the music stopped, Tails was running up a hill, and they stopped. It wasn't until I saw why. Sonic was there on the other side of the screen, with his back against Tails, his eyes closed. Tails looked happy to see Sonic, but his smile faltered, obviously noticing that Sonic wasn't responding to him, if not acting as if he was totally oblivious of Tails' presence. Tails walked slowly towards Sonic, and I noticed that I wasn't even moving my keyboard to make a move, so this had to have been a cutscene. Suddenly, I began to have a growing feel of dread as Tails walked closer to Sonic to get his attention. I felt that Tails was in danger and something bad was going to happen. I heard faint static growing louder as Tails was but inches away from Sonic, and stopped and stuck his hand out to touch him. That foreboding feeling in my gut was growing stronger, and I felt the urge to tell Tails to get away from Sonic as the static grew louder. Suddenly, in a split second, I saw Sonic's eyes open, and they were black with those red glowing dots, just like that title image, though there wasn't a smile. When that happened, the screen turned black and the static sound was off. It stayed black for about 7 seconds, and then white text appeared forming a message saying, "Hello, do you want to play with me?" At this point, I was creeped out. I didn't want to continue with the game, but my curiosity got the better of me when I was taken to a different level with the level title now saying Hide and Seek. This time, I was in the Angel Island level of Sonic 3, and it looked like everything was on fire. Tails looked as though he was scared out of his wits this time. He actually looked at me and made frantic gestures to me as if he wanted to get out of the area he was in as fast as possible. I was starting to get freaked out by this. Tails was actually breaking the fourth wall, trying to tell me to get him out of there. So I pressed on the arrow key as hard as I could, made him run as fast as he could. A pixelated version of that creepy theme when you meet Shadow at the Ark as Robotnik from SA2 is playing, as I made Tails trek through this desolate forest, trying to help him escape from whatever he was trying to run from. Suddenly, I heard that creepy laugh again. That awful Kefka laugh. Right after 10 seconds have passed, as I helped Tails run through the forest, and then I started seeing flashes of Sonic popping everywhere on the screen, again with those black and red eyes. The music changed to that suspenseful drowning jingle as I see Sonic behind Tails slowly getting up on him, flying. Sonic wasn't running, he was actually flying. The flying pose his sprite was making looked very similar to Mel Sonic's flying pose in Sonic CD, except it was just Sonic and he had the black and red eyes again. Only this time, he had the most deranged looking grin on his face. He looked as though he was enjoying the torment he was giving the poor little fox as he gained up on him. Suddenly, when Tails tripped, another cutscene, the music stopped, and Sonic vanished. Tails laid there and started crying for 15 seconds. The scene was rather upsetting to watch, and I kinda teared up myself. But then, Sonic appeared, right in front of Tails, and Tails looked up in horror. Blood started to come out from those blackened eyes of Sonic, as a grin slowly grew from his face, as he looked down at the horrified fox. I could do nothing but watch. Just in a split second, Sonic lunged at Tails before the screen went black. There was a loud screeching noise that only lasted 5 seconds. The text returned, only this time it said, "You're too slow. Want to try again?" That god-awful laugh came with it. I was so shocked by what happened. Did Sonic burn Tails? No. He couldn't have. He and Tails are supposed to be best friends, right? Why did Sonic do that to him? I shook the shock off as I was brought back to the character select. The save file that had Tails was different. Tails was no longer the box itself, but the TV screen itself, just flickering with that red static. Tails' expression scared me. His eyes were black and bleeding. His orange fur had gone black, and he had an expression of anguish on his face. Trying to ignore it, I picked Knuckles next. The laugh came again. The screen cut to black again, and stayed there for another 10 seconds. This time, the level said, "You can't run." I was really freaked out by now. I couldn't really tell if this was a glitch, or a hack, or some kind of twisted joke, or anything really. But despite my fear of what happened next, I kept playing. The next level looked much different. It had the ground the scrap rain zone, but the sky background looked like the main menu. It had the dark, reddish, cloudy sky. But it was the music that creeped me out the most. It sounded like Giggs' theme right after we beat Loki in Earthbound. But it was the music. I also noticed that Knuckles looked afraid, just like Tails did. Though not as much, more rather he looked a little unnerved. He broke the fourth wall just like Tails and looked as if he wasn't sure about what was going on, but I made him move anyway. He ran down the straight pathway in this dark level, and as he did, the screen started to flicker red static a couple times, and then that maddening laugh came again. Then, after a few seconds of running, I noticed several bloodstains on the metallic ground. I felt a growing sense of fear again, thinking something horrible was going to happen to Knuckles. He looked nauseated, walking down this blood-stained road. But I still kept him going. Suddenly, as Knuckles ran, Sonic appeared right in front of him with those black and red eyes, and then red static appeared again. The static vanished, showing nothing but black screen with text saying, "Found you." I was now scared. Sonic found Knuckles already? What was going on? Anyway, red static came again, and then I was back to level. Knuckles looked like he was panicking, and Sonic was nowhere to be found. At this time, that high-pitched squealing from the Silent Hill 1's final boss was playing. Was this some kind of boss battle with Sonic? I hope to God it wasn't, honestly. Suddenly, Sonic appeared right behind Knuckles in what appeared to be pixelated black smoke. I made Knuckles turn and then punch Sonic, but Sonic vanished in black pixelated smoke before I could even land a hit. That terrible laugh went off again. Then Sonic appeared by Knuckles again. Then I made him punch again, and Sonic vanished again, laughing. Knuckles was panicking even more. Even I felt like I was going crazy. Sonic was practically playing with us. He was playing a sick, twisted little mind game with me and Knuckles. Another cutscene played as Knuckles fell to his knees and clutched his head, sobbing. I felt his agony. Sonic was actually driving us both crazy. And then, in a split second, Sonic launched at Knuckles and screamed with black with another distorted screeching noise that lasted for at least 3 seconds. Another text message appeared. "So many souls to play with, so little time. Would you agree?" What the hell? What is going on? I started to think Sonic was actually trying to talk to me through the game, but I was too scared to think that. I was brought back to the main menu, and this time, the second file box had Knuckles on the TV screen. His red fur had darkened to a reddish gray. His dreadlocks were dripping with blood, and his eyes were black and bleeding too. And he had a look of sadness on his face. I began to think that those are the actual characters trapped in those TV screens on the save files, but I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. So I shut off the game and took a break. I took a nap, which I hadn't, because I then began to have the most disturbing nightmare.